Hi everyone, I hope all of you guys are doing well. So today is day number 6 of our 100 days answer writing challenge, and today we are not going to write any answer, but today I again want you to remind a few points on which you should focus when you are learning how to write answers, because unless you focus on these points, unless you understand exactly what are the most important components, unless you understand the most important components of an answer, then how can you write good answers, right? So it is very important that apart from knowing, practicing, apart from going ahead and writing a few answers, you should also be very familiar with the most important components, and that is what I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on these components day in day out. I want you to write down these components next to your study desk. If you don't have a study desk, I want you to write it down on a piece of paper and stick it to the wall so that you can improve your answer writing. Okay, so do that. So number one, the first thing is have the content nailed. Now what this means is that I want you to at least have studied the entire content of UPSC syllabus at least once. Let it be polity, let it be economy, let it be any other subject, let it be art and culture, let it be history, all these subjects, environment, all these subjects at least you have to study once before you start your answer writing practice. And that being said, if you want to score very good marks in the final, if you want to score really good marks actually during the exam, when you're writing mains exam, you should have the content nailed, specifically in the content whatever is the UPSC syllabus, whatever are the topics. Let's say there is a topic of Naxalism, there is a topic of India's neighborhoods, right? Let's say there is a topic of India's internal challenges or external challenges. Let's say there is a topic of, GS2, some topic about polity, India's democracy compared to other democracies. So all these topics, whatever are given in the UPSC syllabus, I want you to print out that UPSC syllabus and cover all these topics and make a list of keywords and key data points and key definitions of these particular topics. So your notes, I will also show you my notes in my next video where we'll be discussing how notes for mains can be made in a very effective manner. So in those notes, you have to compile them in such a way that within 1 or 2 pages, you can address each of these topics, and within one or two odd pages, you have keywords, you have the main definitions. Of course, there will be a lot of conceptual understanding, reading that will be happening behind the scene that will not be reflected in those notes. You can't write long definition in notes, but the keywords, the key data points, the key definitions, any key diagrams, okay, any key diagrams, maps or something like that, they should also be reflecting so that you can use that content to write good answers. Okay, so you have to have your content nailed and you have to have good conceptual clarity. Yesterday, I think a few couple of days back, I had shown you an answer, and in that I had talked about a question which was relatively difficult. It was a difficult question. So in that, unless you have conceptual clarity, it is going to be very difficult for you to be acing those kind of questions, even if you have read information or you have knowledge about that particular concept. All right. The second point is going to be about the structure and the organization, the presentation of your answer. Now, once you know the content, you have to also learn how to structure it properly, how to jot it down on a piece of paper so that within 150 words or 250 words, which is normally the limit of UPSC answer, you can clearly showcase your knowledge. It should not happen that you have so much information and you're just sort of vomiting all that information on a piece of paper, and that will not be clear to the examiner. So it is very important that the structure and the organization should be very clear. There should be proper introduction wherever needed. There should be proper body of the answer. There should be proper conclusion of the answer. Now conclusion and intro, I generally say, should not be more than 2-3 lines, maximum 20-30 words each, and the body should be where the all your content is from which you will get marks. All right, generally I want you to write in points so that it is very clear, it's easy to understand, it's easy to go through, and it's easy for both you and the examiner to understand what you're trying to write. And presentation goes beyond that. Presentation is not only about your diagrams and introduction, body, conclusion. Presentation is actually also about how well you structure your answer when it comes to content. So sometimes the questions are difficult, so the content might not be easily be able to lay out that content. So in that case also you should be able to structure it properly so that your thought process is clearly showing on the paper. It doesn't become confusing. For that, watch the last video in which I have tackled a very difficult question uh, that came last year in the paper, and from there you will understand how to structure, because without that structure that question will become very difficult to understand. All right. So the third point today that I want to tell you is time management practice. Now, one of the key things you will be facing problem is in exam hall. You have 20 questions in front of you. You have your content down. You have your structure down, but you have not practiced enough. So you will have a lot of problems in managing time, and you will take more time than necessary, and you will not be able to finish your answers. So for that, maximum to 6 to 7 minutes you should take for 10 mark questions or 150 word questions, and you're allowed up to 12 minutes for 250 word answers. All right, which are 15 markers. Okay, and for this you have to do sufficient tests. I would say in the month of November, December, Jan, this is the best time to do a lot of answer writing practice. Do anywhere from 2 to 5 questions per day. You can use Insights, you can use any other website, Forum IS or something, for doing these tests. And apart from that, subscribe to one of the test series and do that properly, do that diligently, and do the entire test series. Don't miss out anything. Same I would say for essay writing also. If you're wondering, you should do one entire test series very diligently, and that way you will be doing your time management. Now, in beginning, you might be having problem. In beginning, what happens is, because you're not able to write, you have problems. So what you do that for that is, first write intro, check it, see how much time you're taking to write intro or conclusion, and then in parts, then write body, then write conclusion. So slowly, one step at a time, you can make progress. All right. So that is another way to do it. The fourth point is understanding the question. Now, one of the biggest common mistakes I have seen aspirants making is they only write what they know, but not actually what the question is asking. Understand the demand of the question, what the question is asking. You have a lot of information in your head. Don't just spill it out on the piece of paper. First, try to understand question kya hai. So instead of focusing on what you know, focus on what the question is asking, what is the demand of the question, what the examiner wants you to answer. Identify the keywords of the question, identify the key concept asked in the question, and accordingly answer the question. Don't wait until the time that you are thinking that I'm not understanding the question and you're just writing whatever you are writing. Just take your time and easily figure out what is the demand of the question, what are the things that examiner wants you to answer, and then only select the right kind of information from what you have learned and answer that question. Okay, so remember that. Always read the question properly, always understand the question properly, understand the demand of the question properly, and then only go ahead and answer the question. Otherwise, you are going to just write information even though you have prepared well, even though you have worked hard. आप कुछ भी लिखते रहेंगे और उसका कुछ फायदा नहीं होने वाला. Okay? And finally, the most important part I want to tell you is look at toppers' copies from last year. You can find them online and try to get an understanding of toppers who are getting very high marks in GS papers, and try to understand from these copies what were the good things they did. See, not every topper's copy is going to be great, in the sense that sometimes they have a bad day, so the test might not have gone well, or that particular subject might not be strong. So be careful, don't just copy them, don't just go ahead and copycat them. Be careful, just try to see what are some common themes among the toppers, like how they are writing, what kind of English they are using, what kind of diagrams they are using, what kind of structure they are using, how they are organizing their answers, how they are actually understanding and writing down exactly the theme of the question. Okay, focus on those things, and I'm very sure that you will do well. All right, so these are a few things that I wanted to tell you in today's less than 10 minutes, and these are the most important things. I want you to print this out, place it on your wall in your room, so that you always follow this formula before you are doing answer writing. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Have a good day. Bye.